Hey everyone, welcome back to House of Chi Yoga. Today we're going to get started on our mat with a more intense plyometrics driven yoga class. I do have a wrist injury, that's why this is on here. So if you see me doing any kind of adjustments with my wrist, it's just because I have a small injury I'm trying to be careful of, trying to baby today. Okay, actually let's go down to seated. Whew. It's morning here and a seated practice sounds really good right now. So let's begin easy seated, one foot stacked in front of the other, or you can do a little cross-legged. If you're ready for a half lotus position, bring one foot into the hip crease for half lotus and take any kind of movement front to back, side to side, circular, rotation. Think of the ways the spine wants to move. So we're just starting to bring the breath into the body. We're allowing the spine to move naturally. And we're checking in, listening to what the body wants to do. You can expand your movement to anything that feels good for a moment. And then getting the movement out of the body. Let's shake out the fingers. Exhale out of the mouth. And we'll come to center. Find the sitting bones. Sit up nice and tall. From the sitting bones, we lift and we lengthen all the way through to the crown of the head. As you inhale, fill up the space. Feel the ribs expand, the belly move away from the spine. As you exhale, bring it all back down to center, finding the sitting bones once more. Beginning to elongate the exhalation. And maybe you can bring a little more focus to the inhale, creating more space. Maybe even holding at the top, feeling the pressure of the breath in the body. We're going to take 5 intense inhales and exhales. And I say intense because we're trying to bring tension into the body with the inhalation. So it'll be a very strong inhale. We're going to hold, and then a very nice long exhale. If you're not going with my pace, that's fine. You can go with your own pace. I'm just going to lead you through my breath work just to give you a reference, and then feel free to do what you would like. So big, strong inhale. I want you to hold and feel the tension within the body as you hold. Maybe tense the shoulders, tense the back, tense the hips, the legs. And then exhale, let it go. Inhale, bring everything in. Find the tension, hold. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, release. We have 2 more. Try to bring a little bit more tenseness into the body. Try to squeeze everything you can. Inhale. Exhale, release. Last one, tense it all. And exhale, release. Take the peace fingers to the back of the jaw, give it a little massage. Go along the jawline. You can travel up across the brow, across the forehead. Stop at the temples. A little pressure to the eyelid. I'm going to just brush anywhere down and away from the body. That felt good to release the tension. Let's begin with our legs stretched out forward. And just wake up the toes for a moment. Circle them around, point flex. Take your hands to the legs. Give them some attention here. And then to the knees. Massage all the way around the knees, especially the top of the knee, the sides of the knees. Leaning back, just supporting with your hands. Just start bringing the feet in. You can either do a point or a flex. Maybe do a little bit of both. Start engaging your navel to spine. Lift the heart a little bit more. And now when you bring the knee in, try to resist putting it on the floor. Just use the core and the hip flexors. Maybe for the last few, you want to do a double leg. Landing in a Baddha Konasana. Pay attention to the feet. Use the elbows to massage the inner leg lines. We're just getting the blood flowing in the body. We're getting the energy moving in the body. And then feel free to stay in a seated position. I'm going to go up to my knees. If you don't want to sit on your knees for a moment, that's fine. Just go seated. If you are on your knees, you can wiggle around. Your heel hits somewhere along your butt or hamstring, so you can get a little pressure there. You're also pressing open the tops of the feet. And then fingertips can plant on your thighs or on the floor. Inhale as you lift, find an arch in the back. Exhale as you round and pull navel to your spine. Let's do 3 more breaths. Inhale, exhale. A little more energy to your breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This time palms lift up and your fingertips are going to go together and just lift and lower. So I'm moving pretty quickly. I'm going to add some breath work. I exhale as I push away from the body. Keep following. Let it out. Right hand taps to the underside of the left. And then switch. Left hand taps to the underside of the right. Taking a side bend right to left. Since I'm going to shift forward, since I'm on my knees, I'm going to allow my hip to move in the opposite direction. If you're seated, your hips will stay planted so you can move up and away from that hip line. And then you can add some rounding in the upper back as you move right to left. I'm still pulling navel to the spine. Last one. Take the hands behind the back. I don't know if I can do this one with my wrist, but I'm going to try. Oh, I did it. Roll the shoulders back and away. Feel it stretch across the chest. You can lift and lower the chin here to add a deeper stretch. Try not to get tension in the shoulders. Release the shoulders here. Let them fall away. Last one. And then bringing it back through center. Hands are now pushing to the thighs. Lock the arms out. Pull your navel to your spine. So from the side, you can see this adjustment. Hands, arms, pull navel to spine. Now just lift and a hover and tap down to the heels. I'm warming up my thighs. My abs are working. I'm keeping a nice long line in the spine. If this is too much on your knees this early, let's go ahead and just stay in seated position. Last one. Inhale, palms rise. I'm not opening my chest. I'm keeping my rib cage core tight. Exhale, lat pull. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull. Inhale, exhale. Bringing energy into the lats, creating your own resistance. I'm going to pick up the pace and add a little bit more breath work. And releasing, any rolling through the shoulders. Now if you're in a seated position, come up into your quadruped position, tuck the toes underneath and push weight back into the feet. Now the toes are kind of springing me back forward. You can also come into a little hamstring curl here. Ooh, my toes are a little sore. I did a jog last night and my toes hurt. And then landing in quadruped, the left palm is going to stay. My right palm is going to roll open and then roll back through. So I'm working on shoulder, elbow, wrist, all the fingertips, and then reversing the roll. Now, I don't want to lean too far to the left. I want to make sure I'm trying to open up into a nice long twist, and I have one line from my top arm to my bottom palm. So you have to use that bottom palm to push and twist. You feel the back muscles working. Let's go one more. Now, right hand goes behind the head. Exhale as you circle the elbow down. I'm just getting some mobility through the shoulder. I feel a nice opening from the scap to the spine. And then we'll release the right arm to thread all the way under for a breath. I like palm facing up. You can even tuck the chin a little bit here. Not staying for too long. Let's come back up through center. Right hand plants, left palm opens up. We're going joint by joint. Focus on pushing the right palm down. You're using the back muscles. You're using the core muscles. Let's go one more. Now left hand goes behind the head. Find a nice big circle through the shoulder. You can still work the scap on the left side. Ooh, it's making me dizzy. And then the left arm threads under. Take a breath here. Coming back up through center. Open up the fingertips wide. Index fingers are forward. Keep the fingertips super wide as you just kind of move around and get some weight down in the wrist. Maybe you're ready to float the knees and add some movement. It's going to add more weight to the wrist. And then start moving towards a downward facing dog. Pull the heels down, toes up. Exhale as you bring it down to your quadruped hover. So my knees are off the mat. My wrist, elbow, shoulder in one line. Keep holding, lift navel to spine. On the exhale, push back to downward facing, heels down, toes up. And then bring it forward to your quadruped hover. Squeeze, feel core tight. Push the back towards the ceiling. Back to downward facing. And then all the way back through your hover. This time take little steps right to left. Try not to be too bouncy. You're staying active in your core. Now the feet stay in line with the hips and your fingertips are going to tap forward right to left. Lock into your abdominals here. Last one, back through a downward facing dog. Walk the knees across midline. Start opening up through the hamstrings. Releasing the head in a yes and a no. We'll walk the feet up halfway. Walk the hands back halfway. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale as you roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. You can bring the palms up too. Exhale, roll it right back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Creating some nice rounding through the spine. Inhale, bring it up. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Exhale, down. We're going 3 more breaths like this. Try to get closer to the legs each time you move into your fold. This is one of my favorite ways to start my day. I do them every morning in the sunshine. Last one, inhale, rise. Stay at the top. Lift through the fingertips. Pulse up onto the heels and then onto the toes. Find the connection from the feet all the way to the pelvic floor. Try to hold on the toes and then hold on the heels and then bring it through center. Feet are planted, hands go behind the head, add a little side bend right to left, but you're gonna make it more of a crunch. So I'm using the core, I'm pulling navel to spine, keeping the feet planted. You can look in the opposite direction depending on the mobility of your rib cage here. And then holding it center, let the hands fall down and away. Sink it down to your chair pose. I always like to roll around and check in with my feet. Feet are completely planted. Inhale, palms rise. Sink the sits bones a little farther. Inhale, stand. Let's go right into our Vinyasa A. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale through your version of Chaturanga. Feel free to lower your knees. Inhale through Cobra. And exhale, downward facing. Bend the knees, step or hop up. Inhale, flat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Close your eyes for a moment. Palms down to the sides. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Start working with your breath a little bit more intentionally. Inhale, flat. Exhale, step or hop back, lower Chaturanga. Cobra. Back to your downward facing. Not stopping yet. Bend, step or hop up. Inhale, flat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, close your eyes as hands come down to heart. Palms to the sides. One more. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale, Chaturanga. Cobra. And back to your downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, add some big rolls to a plank position and back to down dog. Now, I want you to start this movement from the toes. So you're lifting and rolling all the way through to the crown of the head. And then we'll land forward in plank, bend the knees, open the chest into a cobra position. Add a small bend through the elbows here for the triceps. If your shoulders are pointing forward, you have to lift the heart and then find the pulse in the triceps. So keep the shoulders back and away, keep the back body really strong. 3, 2, and 1. Lift the hips up, find child's pose. Toes together, knees wide. You can shake out the hips here. Release the breath if you need to. And then as you come to center, we're going to bring palms together. And the pinky, the blades of the pinky and the back of the palm is going to, or not the back of the palm, but the side, you're going to push down. Now, as I push down, it can push the rest of my body up. but I'm going to take that lift into my core. So my whole palm, wrist especially, and forearm are pushing down, and I'm going to lift through my abs. Step the toes back, find your forearm plank. Don't let any part of the pinky, wrist, forearm come up. Now start pushing from both sets of toes. So stay really planted, check in with the wrist. If the wrist is popping up, re-ground. Connect to, if you want to, close your eyes, connect to the toes all the way up through the inner leg lines, the thighs, find the pelvic floor, feel the navel pulling to the spine. Now continue to travel up the core. Keep squeezing, the rib cage is actively pulling together, chest is open and strong. Make sure the head isn't hanging, but we're holding it in line with the neck. 3, 2, shift forward in the toes, lower the knees. Now the palms are going to go down for Sphinx pose. We're not doing a resting Sphinx. We're actively pulling the shoulders back and away. We're feeling the back muscles firing up. The hands and forearms here are just creating resistance so that I can lift a little bit more. I can engage the back muscles a little bit more. Now as we exhale, elbows go out, palms go together. Both toes are going to come up. We lift the thighs and reach away from the body for a low back extension here. Nice big lift. Try to get the whole leg off the floor. And then we're going to hold toes together, knees wide, pull straight towards the ceiling. Try to push equally from foot to foot. So sometimes I feel like my one foot is pushing a lot harder than the other. Maybe close your eyes and check in with your feet. Make sure they're both working. 3, 2. If you can keep your legs up off the floor, keep it there. My glutes are staying strong. My hamstrings are contracting. My toes are lifting. Hands are going behind the head and under the chin. Behind and under. Keep breathing. If you need to put the legs down, go ahead. It'll give you another point of stability. 3, 2, hands on the mat, legs extended. Shake it out. So my left palm is going to reach forward. My right hand is going to go behind the head. I'm just going to inhale and roll up. Exhale, bring it back down. I'm trying to use the back muscle to roll. I'm pulling the scap to the spine. I'm opening up through the underarm. Feel a nice stretch across the chest. One more, hold. And exhale, walk the right arm out until the shoulder touches the floor. Palm is flat and open, and then you can fold directly on top. Oh, that feels wonderful. And then releasing back through center. Now the right palm extends forward, left hand behind the head. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Try to pull the scap directly to the spine. No pressure on the neck. You're using the back muscles. Let's go one more. And then this time we release. Walk the hand out until the shoulder is flat. I'm going to try to stay off my mic here. And fold. Take a breath. Coming back through center, you can reverse plank. You can press it back through child's pose. Either way, meet me in downward facing and bounce on the balls of the feet. You can feel the knees starting to engage the ankles. Make sure the knees are nice and soft here. Start waking up the hips a little bit more. We're going to move into some hip work. And then we'll bend the knees, step or hop into a wide stance. Inhale, flat. Exhale, fold. And then from that fold, any kind of movement that feels good. You can open the toes wider. You can float the toes. And then you can do some rolling. I like doing some hinge work from the hip line. And then we'll come back through center. Bend the knees as you roll it up. Heels and toes out for goddess. Take a nice stretch through the shoulders. And as you're opening up the chest, you're also pushing the knees wider. You feel a stretch through the inner leg line. From center, toes are going to go forward, palms rise. Interlace the fingers, push them up. Exhale, sink the hips. Inhale, lift. Exhale. So my knees are staying where they are. My hips are moving backward. Feet are super planted. Energetically grounding down. We want to be heavy here. Not light and lifting, but grounding and heavy. Keep working with your breath. One more. Hold at the bottom. Hold. Hug the hips. Pull the knees wider. Inhale, rise. Exhale through center. Inhale, flat. Exhale, your version of a chaturanga. Cobra. Back to our downward facing. Now you can either pull the plank and bring the knee towards the elbow, right to left, or you can start lifting a little higher, making a bigger circle, forward and backward. Or maybe you can step all the way to the outside of the palm and sink towards a low lunge step. Work with whatever level you have today, making sure that our form is good. We're not compressing to the low back. We're staying really active in the legs and in the core, in the arms and the chest. We'll go one more each side. And then land back in our downward facing. Inhale, right toes up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Anything you like on the right foot. Now bring the right foot through and replace the right palm. Back knee lowers, inhale, rise. Take a bind, right hand to left wrist. As you shift forward to your lunge, also find a side bend here. You can add a little movement through that top shoulder just to help you find where that stretch is, and eventually land and go deeper into your stretch. Releasing fingertips to the floor, moving half Hanuman to low lunge. So we're starting to load up on this front leg, this front glute muscle. If you're ready to do no hands, you go half Hanuman, shift forward to your low lunge. Now, if you're ready to extend all the way up to a stand, I'm going to load up to my front leg. You can either pulse here, or you can come up towards a warrior three pulse. So either of those is working this front leg a lot. If you're using the back leg still, that's fine. If you want to pulse it up, that's more work on your back glute. Let's go a couple more. One more. We're going to land in our half Hanuman here. Untuck the back toes, bring the knees together. You can stay nice and tall, or you can support with the fingertips and add a roll through the spine. Keep the front toes active. Oh, that feels like a great stretch today. Find somewhere you can hold, check in, toes are up, knees are together. Our body is nice and long, our spine is nice and long. We're reaching through the crown of the head. One more breath. And then walk the hands up and take a little twist over to the right side. Fingertips are planted. We're rolling the right shoulder back, using the back muscle to help us get there. And then releasing back through center. Use the hands to lift, find the core. Shifting forward, float the right toes back up into your three-legged dog. And then back to our downward facing dog and shake it out. Sometimes it's the simplest words that escape me. Inhale, left toes rise. Open up the hip, release the leg. Anything you need that feels good there. And then we'll move left foot, replace left palm. Back knee lowers. Inhale, rise. Now you can take the opposite bind. So I'm going to shift forward into the stretch, add the bend, maybe move through the top shoulder, find where it feels really good, and then go a little farther with it. Coming back through center, support with the fingertips. Now you're adding your half Hanuman into your low lunge. So you're starting with the hands, make sure the mobility is there. Now we're loading up more onto this front leg. If you want to take the hands up, you have a bigger press. And sometimes, most of the time, your knees are a little different from side to side. So just go slow, make sure you're checking in with your body. If you want to start loading all the way up as we shift forward, you can push through the back toes and extend to a stand. Or you can float. So it just depends on the amount of work, depends on your level of balance here. You don't want flopping around, falling over. You want controlled, steady movements. And we don't get ahead by jumping to the end. So if you're not able to go all the way up into your warrior three, don't worry about it. Do the beginner steps, because I promise you'll get there quickly. Let's go one more. Landing in your warrior. Just kidding, half Hanuman. So now I untuck my back toes, bring the knees together, support with the fingertips, and add a roll. Check in with the front toes. Toes are facing the ceiling. We want this leg straight, so as we roll, we can start moving to the hamstring. Find somewhere you can hold and take a breath. Whew, I need this stretch. And then keeping the front toes active, but let's lift it up. Starting to go into your twist. Now I'm hugging my hips in. I'm using my back muscle to open up the shoulder. Stay really tall through the crown of the head. Coming back through center, a lot of support from the hands. Watch as I lift my core. Now weight's out of my legs. I can shift forward and then step it back to my downward facing. Right away, step or hop to the top. Inhale, flat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, straight to chair. Bring your hands to your heart. Check in with your feet. Make sure they're unrolled. Lift the chest. Sink the butt back a little farther. Maybe you can even get knee and hip in one line. Left thumb over the right. We're going to inhale, rise. Exhale, sink. Check your range of motion here. I'm going to start going all the way down because my legs feel warm enough now. My knees feel warm enough. Make sure the knees are not folding into center. Ooh, a thigh burner. You don't have to go all the way down. I do this mobility work every day, so I'm comfortable with it. If you're not there yet, remember, it is 1,000% worth it to take it at your own pace and build the blocks foundationally. One more. Now we're opening the toes and landing in a malasana. So heels are in, toes are out, knees are wide. Keep holding. Take your hands to your butt cheeks and squeeze. Put your butt cheeks right in your palms and try to pulse the knees wide. 3, 2, I'm going to count slower. 1, hands forward. You're going to rock forward and then just catch yourself in your malasana. Now I am not in my malasana stretch. I am holding in my leg muscles. See if we can do a couple more. Landing in malasana, sapana mudra. So left thumb over the right, first fingers are together. Inhale as you rise. Hi, exhale as you lower to your range of motion. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Last one, exhale, bring it all the way down for your stretch now. Press the palms, lift the heart. Feel a nice stretch. I like rounding forward here. So as my sits bones are pulling down, I'm also rounding and trying to energetically pull through the crown of my head. And so my back gets a really nice full stretch here. And then releasing the hands behind. Let yourself scooch back to a seated position. Legs are going wide, and we'll windshield wipe the knees. Try to get the knee to fold internally, rotating in line with the hip. So if your knees are too close, it's not going to work. You got to go wide. So as I bring the knee in, I have one long line through my femur to my hip. If you want more mobility work, you can do no hands. This one's always a fun one to practice. And then we're gonna land. I'll land with my right leg on top, my left leg back. So check in, make sure everything is in a 90 and a 90. Support with the fingers. Flex this front glute, lift up through your navel, and now see if you can bring that left heel up to a pulse. So this is directly into the deep piriformis muscle. Keep squeezing. Maybe you release the hands. Make sure your navel's to your spine and you're not relying only on the back muscle here. Keep holding. Now hold the back leg still, squeeze. Maybe you can float the whole leg, work on some balance. Energy all the way down through the toes, the fingertips. Plant the palms. Actually, let's just plant the back palm. Left hand's coming to the leg and bring it through. Now we're gonna work it all the way across to the other hip and just do a little twist or maybe a fold or anything that feels good on this left side glute muscle. I'm trying, I'll shift forward, to get my heel as close as I can to this hip and also keep the toes planted down and the sits bones planted down. It is a deep stretch, so if you're working on one or two of those things, work on getting the heel to the hip and the big toe down. If you want to go a lot farther, you can bring the forehead down, not rounding, just dropping the head. And then releasing from there, lean back, flex the feet, open up the feet in a V, point the toes, and do a little cross here. My thigh is working to my belly. My abs are actively closed. Maybe you can bring one hand or both up into the air. If you want to work coordination, you can also rope climb straight up. Keep the core tight. Not a lot of floppy movement, but intentional and strong. 3, 2, hold the toes out. You can either go 90-90, you can support, or you can reach forward and hold. Squeeze your thigh to your belly, reach forward. Bring the hands together and up, and then open. Together, up, open. 2 more. Actually 3 more. Let's make it 5. Last one. Hiya. Support the legs. Bring them in. Come through center to Baddha Konasana to shake it out. And then we'll move on to the other side. So now, left leg forward, right leg back. Lift through the core. Be really strong through the abdominals. It's this front glute that's working. Try to pulse the heel. Check in with the ab muscles. Maybe you need to put your hand on your belly. Maybe you can bring the hands up to a float. Keep squeezing navel to spine. And then maybe you can hold. Float the entire leg. Squeeze your booty. 3, 2. Left hand down. Right hand catches. Bring it across. Go into your twist on the other side. So the heel works towards the hip. The toe works down. Maybe you can get both sits bones down. That's great. Feel the stretch on the right side. You can bring forehead down to knee. Ooh, it's a little tighter on this side. Another thing I really love doing here is taking my thumb to my hip. You can feel your own hip bone. And I just give it a little pressure. Get the muscle inside the hip bone there. One more breath. Gently coming out of this stretch. I'm going to square forward. So same thing, we lean back, flex feet, take it forward this time. We're going to go heel tap, double leg extension. If you need your hands, fine. I'm going to shift this way. If you can put your hands on your legs or bring the hands on top of the knees or straight up, check in with what works for you. Maybe you can also tap the toes, pull your navel to your spine. Make sure you have a really strong core unit here. We're going to hold at the top. You might need to bind to the ankles. That's fine. If you can keep your hands up, keep them up. Engage the inner leg lines and lift and lengthen. At a point through the toe. Keep lengthening, squeeze. Hands behind the head, slowly lower to a hover. Abs in, straight to bicycle cross. Don't let the body jump around. The muscles are making the spine twist. Your hips, your low back are staying glued to the mat. We're gonna do this a few more. Keep it up, don't lose pace. Check in with your low back. 3, 2, 1. We're slowing it down. Elbow to knee, you tap fingertips to toe. Elbow to knee, tap fingertip toe. Don't lose the low back connection to the floor. More challenging is making sure that bottom leg is staying just at a hover on the floor. It's going to force the abs to work even more. We're not letting that leg lift too high. Let's go one more each side. Hiya! Both feet down, straight crunch up towards the ceiling. So not rounding, but pushing straight up. Keep squeezing. 3, 2, and 1. My voice is going, excuse me. Pull the feet in as close as you can to the butt, and then add some rolling through the spine to release the abdominal muscles. If it's uncomfortable keeping your heels super close, obviously you can walk them out, no big deal. I feel like when I pull my heels closer to my butt, I get a little bit more thigh work. So now we'll hold at the top, hug the hips in, squeeze, abs are active, keep holding. Maybe your palms come up overhead, take a breath. I'm getting a nice opening space in my chest up here in my belly, but my hips are still working. Contract the hamstrings, pull the heels energetically to the butt. Feel the hamstrings firing up. Exhale as you bring it down. I'm unrolling vertebrae by vertebrae to make sure that that low back is glued. Now it's suctioned down. Just go into a little hamstring core stretch here. Beautiful. Last one. And then roll on the spine. If it's painful to roll directly on the spine, you could just lean a little bit one way to go on the side of the spine. But it is very good to just roll around on the spine. It feels great once you get used to it. It's like a little spine massage. Cross the ankles, go through your version of vinyasa. And then find downward facing dog. Hold in your down dog. Find a good downward facing position. Push the floor away from you. Lengthen the lats, navel to spine, ribs in, hips pushing back. Maybe the heels and the toes can stay on the floor. Keep breathing. Every fingertip is working. Use this as a stretch. Use this as some work through the shoulders. You're getting the stabilizers working in the shoulder girdle. You're using the stabilizers in the deep abdominal. Keep breathing. And then we're going to move on for one more yoga sequence before we take it all the way down. Inhale, right toes up. Exhale, knee to nose, hold. You're holding there, adding a very tiny push-up. So depends on your range of motion. I can just do a little baby one here. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, right toes rise. Swing around to the side as you replace the right palm. Inhale, take some big circles through the right arm. And then placing the right palm to the outer hip. Roll the chest open, find a twist. Bring the gaze back down, lower the back knee, open up the left palm. Nice deep stretch there. And then bring the left hand down. You're loading up onto this front thigh as you either tap the left toes or you work it up. You can keep that hand back for a twist, or you can open it all the way up for your revolved half moon. Maybe you can float the bottom palm. I'm going to gaze down so I can make sure I stay nice and still. Now try to transition all the way through to a standing position. So if you need your hands on your right thigh, place them there. If you can, just transition left knee to heart, hands to heart. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Lock into the bottom leg. Exhale as you sink to your figure 4 stretch. Keep holding, keep holding. We're going to do one more little glute burnout here. Hands can stay at heart. Left foot goes behind a curtsy. And then bring it up. Little tap to figure 4. So notice I didn't actually go into my figure 4. I just tapped my heel above the knee. If you would like to work a lot more balance and another squat, you can go directly into your figure 4. Navel to spine. I'm going to do 3 more on this side. Last one, we're all going to land in our figure 4. And now we're going to do a stretch version of figure 4. So you can stay here and hold. You can go hands to the floor. You can wrap the right elbow crease to the foot to hold it here, and then lengthen the back leg. I like taking my hand to the back of the knee joint, and then I barely have to do anything. The leg is just stuck in place. Oh, it feels so nice. Bending the front knee. Use your hand to bring the foot back and behind. Let's land in a warrior 2 position. Inhale as you go reverse. Exhale as you cartwheel all the way through. Find your vinyasa. Cobra. Downward facing. Inhale, left toes up. Exhale, knee to nose. Hold. Add a couple push-ups. Don't let the head hang. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, left toes rise. Swing it out to the side this time. Replace the left palm. Open up into a big twist. Continue to open up and expand through the chest with the arm circle. And then we'll land left hand behind. Roll the shoulder open, gaze up. Squeeze into the abdominals. Push from your back toes. Find a nice hold in the glutes. And then on the exhale, we'll gaze down, lower the knee, keep the bind, open up the front arm. Sink into your stretch here. And then bring the top hand through. You're going to plant it. Use the back toes, either come up to a little kick here. So you're just continuing to load on the front leg, or you extend all the way up into your revolved half moon. Option to keep the bind or open up the chest. Hold, keep breathing. I'm going to adjust my hips here. Try to keep the hips squared down. The rotation happens in the mid-torso. Maybe float the bottom arm. I'm going to gaze down for this one. And then whatever transition you did on the other side, you can bring hands to thigh, or you go hands to heart, right knee to heart, hold. Plant the bottom leg, hold in the hips, core is active. Sink it down to your figure 4. Just holding for a moment to feel the stretch. What came to my mind is to feel the pain, but I meant the good pain. Right toes go back for the curtsy, and then you could just tap across, curtsy, front toe is planted. You're staying connected with the entire body here. That's how we make sure we're not wobbling and falling all over. If you want to go all the way to your figure 4, it's going to add a deeper squat. Oh, my glutes are getting tired. I have 2 more. Last one. This is a good glute burnout. Hold. From your figure four, you now can go into whatever stretch you did on the other side. So I'm going to hook the elbow, hand behind the knee, and then fold. Hiya, breathe. I feel great. One more breath. And then bending the knee so it's soft, using the hand to bring the foot all the way down to the floor. Oh, we went back to a warrior two. Landing in a warrior two. Inhale as you reverse it here first. And then exhale all the way through your vinyasa. And let's meet in our cobra pose. Take a little stretch in your cobra. Shoulders are rolling back and away. Lift and lengthen through the heart. You can feel a little compression in the low spine. We don't want a ton. And then tuck the chin. Bring the ribs up and take it through child's pose. You can stay in child's pose. You can add a last little bit of rolling here. And then we're going to move to a fire log pose. So as you shift back, we cross the ankles and just go to a seated position. Finishing with fire log. So if I'm at the top of my mat here, my shin is parallel with the mat. So not my toes or my ankle, but my shin. So I have to move my heel up. So my heel, shin, knee are one line. The rest of the foot is in front or above the leg. Same thing with the other leg. It's okay if your knee is here. We're trying to get the shins parallel to each other in the top of the mat. So from here, if this knee is super high, that's okay. You can lean back. You can work on relaxing the bottom leg. You can use this heel to just massage the knee like this. I hope you can see that. This feels so great, and this is really good for the knee joint. So you can literally just lean back, keep the 90 in the bottom knee, and massage the knee joint. If you're ready to start moving forward, use your hands to hold. We want to try to sit up nice and tall on the sitting bones. So instead of rounding here, we're trying to lift and push the sits bones down. Now you can start on getting this knee to go a little closer to the bottom heel. So check in. You should be able to look down, see one line for the shins and the toes and the rest of the foot in front of the legs. Now, if your hips are pretty loose, you can bind, you can bend the elbow, you can do some PNF stretching where you're resisting, you're pulling the knee in here, and then you're releasing and pushing down. You can add any sort of bind or you can hinge forward. There's lots of different options. If you have blocks handy, sometimes I like to stack the blocks up here and just relax my forehead down. That feels really good. Whew, I haven't done this one for a minute. We're not going to be here too long. We're going to wrap up class, so take one or two more breaths. This is your final hip stretch, so try to sink into it. And then as we lift up, we'll lean to the left side so the top leg can release first. Any kind of movement through that top leg that feels good. I like to use my hands to roll my hips around. And then we'll go ahead and switch. So now, right leg is on the bottom, shins parallel to the top, heel, knee, one line. I'm going to switch sides. And I'm actually going to start with that nice knee massage on this side because that felt so good on the other side. So you're using the heel, massaging all the way through the knee. Our knees, especially if we do a lot of walking, a lot of sitting even, everything can make our knees tight, our hips tight. So just giving it a little bit of love and attention each day goes a long, long way. A little bit each day is better than one massive amount once you're injured. I promise. Okay, so now whatever versions you were working on the other side, if you were able to go fully into this pose, remember to sit up nice and tall on the sitting bones. Hiya. Releasing through the hips. These more difficult poses, it's very easy to create more tension than we're intending to. So it's hard to hold a pose. We start tensing into it and then we're not releasing. So breathing, relaxing through the hips and allowing the body to fall into the position. One more breath. And then lifting up and out, leaning to the right, any movement you need on the outer hip, or the left hip, I should say. And then coming through to center. And feel free to go into your Shavasana. I'm actually just I'm feeling like the ending is now. This should be the end of class. We did a lot of twisting, so you don't necessarily need to go into a spinal twist, but it is so relaxing to end class in a nice twist or some cat-cow. We did a lot of releasing. We did a lot of work through the chest and the arms too, so if you would like to take a block and place it between the scaps, that's a good way to rest and release through the end of class. But any versions you would like, if you feel like, okay, I'm ready to get going and start my day, that's how I'm feeling right now. I gotta get moving. I got kids waiting for me and I'm feeling amped up now, so it's time for me to go. But inhale, palms rise together. Exhale, hands to your heart. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have time to finish off with a quick Shavasana, and I'll see you next time on the House of Chi.